Hello and welcome to another episode of the Portrait Prophet Show. Let me turn this music off because I don't want it going on while I'm talking. There we go. I'm so glad you guys are here with me today for this special episode of the Portrait Prophet Show. Today is the day before Halloween, and so we have something special. Some ghost stories or some unusual or weird stories from local photographers. My name is Jim Landers, and my mission here is simple. I help portrait photographers make an incredible living doing what they love. If you're struggling, I'm the guy you go to. On the Portrait Prophet Show, most of the time we bring you tips and systems on the business side of photography designed to help you gain a mastery over marketing and sales so that you can finally get what you deserve. But today, we're bringing you the unusual stories that have been shared with me by local photographers. The first story is by Fred Gerhardt. And let's see. And his story, just like all of them, are quite unusual. According to Fred, I photograph all kinds of things. And this particular job I'm going to share with you may seem unusual to some, but I had done similar things before. I had a gig to photograph a fatality accident and for a vehicle from a fatality accident from a local law firm that I have worked with before. As I approached the accident vehicle, it was evident how the people in it might have met their end. All was going well with the photography until an inexplicable urge came over me. It was as if the car itself was compelling me to touch it. When I did, a chilling sensation came over me, and I could hear the screams deep within my mind. The screams were piercing, echoing through my conscious. I could hear the pain, their fear, and their anguish. It was as though every essence of the accident had imprinted itself onto the vehicle, and I had unknowingly tapped into that tragic energy. I couldn't explain the phenomenon, but one thing was certain. I had touched something beyond the physical realm, something that sent shivers down my spine and left an unforgettable imprint on my memory. That was by Fred Gerhardt. My next story is by John Kane. When we first, and the title is What Is It? Let me put that up on the screen. Forgot to do that before. There we go. What Is It by John Kane. When we first moved to San Antonio, we bought a house in Live Oak. Over time, we began to think the house was haunted. Things would get moved or just come up missing. Yes, there were sounds that went bump in the night, but that can be anything. It was a newer house. In 2006, I bought my first digital camera, a Nikon D80. I was playing around and doing some test shots and learning some new functions. I was shooting with the flash to see the reach of the flash and got two very strange images, one right after the other. Both shots of the same thing in the same location. What I saw in the first image looked like the shape of an angel. So I took the shot again, and nothing was there. I showed the image to a lady at church, and she agreed that it could be an angel, but there was something else, a shape in the lower left. You see it? We got to thinking about what happened after we bought the house. Well, my wife's mother passed away. And about 4 months later, my mother passed. Just 3 days before my mother passed, our beloved dog Mickey had a heart attack. I took these pictures 3 years later. My religious friends agree that it was angels watching over us. My photography friends say it's a lens flare or a flash reflection off of something. After these pictures were taken, the noises and the moving stuff stopped. Since both pictures were taken at the same time with the same equipment, from the same location, and one right after the other, why is there no reflection or glare in the second one? What do you think? And that one was by John Kane. My next story is by Stacy Lovett. By the way, she's got two stories that I'm going to share with you. And if you're liking any of these stories, would you do me a favor and hit that like button or love button? Let me know you're here. I want to know you're watching. Also, do me a favor and hit that in the comments, enter in hashtag live. And if you've got some stories that you'd like to share, feel free to share them in the comments. All right. Her first story is Ask and Receive. Victoria's Black Swan Inn, as always, brought a few extras to set. John Robert Mack and I found ourselves there one sweltering summer day, beads of sweat forming on our foreheads. The air inside was stifling. In our discomfort, no sooner had we remarked that we wanted some air conditioning, the doors of the inn responded in dramatic fashion and flung wide open. So that was Stacy's story about Victoria's Black Swan Inn. I've got another story about Victoria's Black Swan Inn. Let me share that one with you. Let's see. And I've got to do some shuffling because the tray doesn't hold enough photographs to share with you. So let me grab a couple more. There is an image of the Black Swan Inn so that you can see it. Now, this was my experience that I'm sharing with you now. And the title is Maybe It Craves Love Stories. Along the serene banks of Salado Creek in San Antonio, Texas, a photographer arrived at Victoria's Black Swan Inn, an elegant Greek revival mansion built in 1867 on the hallowed grounds of the 1842 Battle of Salado. A place that had witnessed countless events, both joyous and somber. A place that had witnessed this place that had witnessed these countless events. I was there to photograph a local couple's wedding reception on a beautiful sunny afternoon. But this photographer would soon face a perplexing enigma, one that left a seasoned photographer who had captured numerous love stories in his career baffled. The soft sunlight streaming through the windows of the historic home, he began photographing the beaming newlywed standing there before the stately white tiled fireplace with its dark wood mantel and large looming mirror. You could hear the sound of laughter and music drifting in from the outdoor celebration. The bride was radiant in her wedding gown, the groom beaming with love. After creating a few images, his flash ran out of power. Luckily, he had a new set of 4 AA's in his pocket, and he quickly got back to work. In the midst of his artistry, an odd interruption occurred. The batteries rapidly drained after only a few flashes. Strange, since those batteries were freshly charged. Perplexed but undeterred, he went to his camera case that was in the hallway just outside the room to get more batteries, and an odd urge compelled him to glance down the empty hallway. Though his attention was momentarily ensnared by the silence and stillness, there was nothing tangible to attribute it to. He quickly loaded the fresh batteries into his flash, then those batteries rapidly lost power after only a handful of images, and he got to his 4th set. He mentioned to the bride and groom how this had never happened before, while assuring them not to be concerned. He had plenty. He wasn't worried yet. He had a total of 8 sets of batteries. Way more than he had ever used at a single wedding before. However, these batteries too succumbed to the inexplicable drain of power, leaving him with a growing concern about his ability to document the remainder of the event. But again and again, it happened. The power drain seemed relentless. He quickly grew concerned about having enough batteries to photograph the event, as the next set was zapped of power. Only a few more images left to do when he put in the 7th set of seventh set into his flash. However, he got all the images he needed, as that set died too. 7 sets of batteries had been depleted in quick succession, and only 1 set remained. But there was a difference, as the bride and groom went back outside to spend time with guests. The photographer inserted the final set into his flash, and for the remaining 4 hours, that last set powered his flash without a hint of drain, allowing him to complete the job and capture every cherished moment of the day. It sounds like that was the end of the story. But the Black Swan Inn reached out one last time. The festivities had drawn to a close, and under the soft glow of the moonlight, the photographer walked back to his car when another peculiar urge overcame him. He felt compelled to look toward a nearby building, possibly a barn, not far from where he had parked. Like the hallway earlier in the day, this structure seemed to command his attention. Yet it revealed nothing out of the ordinary. It was mostly in shadow. Those batteries never had a problem before, nor did they ever have a problem after. Maybe something inside the Black Swan Inn needed a boost, and the photographer had with him the right energy drink. Perhaps within the historic walls of Victoria's Black Swan Inn, there exists a force beyond human comprehension, one that craves the energy of those in pursuit of documenting love's enduring stories. Maybe it craves love stories. Next story, we're coming back to Stacy Lovett, and this story is called "The Newest Fans." So let me share that with you. So this is the Phoenix Saloon in New Braunfels. Stacy says, another eerie encounter unfolded while doing a promotional shoot for a band called High Desert Queen. At the notoriously haunted Phoenix Saloon in New Braunfels, we had the place to ourselves. All doors were locked. We roamed around taking advantage of the features of the old, cool building. We all went downstairs in the basement at one point when we heard heavy, slow footsteps coming from above, pacing back and forth. Everyone got quiet, just kind of looked around, doing a quick head count of our party, and laughed as we embraced one of their newest fans coming to join the fun. I guess they decided to bring friends because random recordings started going off from a speaker in a recess of the wall. That one got a little excessive, and there was no way to manually turn it off. So we went back upstairs and finished the shoot. All of this validated the spooky lore of this hill country haunt. Let me show you a couple of images of the band. If I can. There's a tray here that holds my photographs, and it only holds a few, not very many. And so I have to delete some in order to show you, and hopefully I'm deleting the right ones. There we go. All right. So there is one of the photographs of the band, and I'm going to show you one more. And there's the other. She ends with, funny enough, reading up on the ghosts accounts after all this happened. They checked out with the paranormal MO, what the paranormal MOs were. Not that there was any doubt, but it clarified who might have been in the salon's darker history. By the way, if you're curious about the Phoenix Saloon, let me read to you real quick. Let's see. I'm going to show you their website and read to you the. If I set it up right here, of course. Okay. There it is. The history of the Phoenix Saloon. I'm going to read this to you because I assume it's kind of small on your page. But since 1871, our building has been home to various bars and saloons, most famously the original Phoenix Saloon. It was here in 1894 that William Gebhardt, proprietor of the Back Room Cafe, invented chili powder. Prior to this, chilies had only ever been used fresh, but Gebhardt devised a process for crushing and drying them. The original Phoenix Saloon was reputedly the first bar in Texas to offer service to women. But let's get down to the fun stuff. A different side of nightlife for the Phoenix Saloon. For years, people reported paranormal happenings in and around the Phoenix. Doors and windows open and close on their own. Footsteps are heard in the upper stories late at night, and some have been reported seeing a shadow man who drifts down the second floor hallway, accompanied by a chill breeze. Some speculate that the restless spirit of Mr. John Sipple, the man who constructed our building in 1871, by all accounts, Mr. Sipple led a tortured life of depression and alcohol abuse after his wife left him and took up with another man. Eventually, the grieving business owner took his own life in a single gunshot in the year 1900. Could a man who was so haunted in life still roam the building he made? Others speculate that it could be one-time saloon proprietor Walter Krause, who died in 1885 from injuries he sustained in a barroom fight. There's also talk of some hushed-up accident in the basement. And for many years, there was a Masonic lodge on the third floor where many odd noises are heard to this day. Whether it's a ghost or several, just the personality of a 140-plus-year-old building, the nocturnal mysteries add just a bit more flavor to the Phoenix legend. So I hope that was a fun diversion. So that was from Stacy Lovett. My next story is from Valerie Gonzalez. Capturing the unexplained at a spotted dam. While photographing years ago at a spotted dam, I took photos of a family from the park facing the waterfall, which is near the cemetery. Everything was normal. The session went well. However, when I returned home to take the images through the editing process, I made an extraordinary discovery. I paused on one of the photographs, zoom in into the cemetery in the background, and froze as a spirit image appeared. This mysterious figure took the form of a full-bodied presence, but at only about 50% opacity, blurring the line between the living and the departed. It was seated peacefully on the grass, leaning against the headstone. Its posture resembled someone engrossed in reading a captivating book. In hindsight, the park was eerily devoid of any other visitors, and its enigmatic presence only manifested in that one specific image. To add to the bewildering experience, I called out to my husband because I was in shock. I was about to share this unsettling discovery that I'd found in this image. But as he approached my computer, an inexplicable event occurred. In a cruel twist of fate, my computer, which was barely 3 days old, succumbed to a catastrophic meltdown. It burned out, smoke and all, right there and then, as if some otherworldly force had intervened, allowing only me to see the image. The image you're seeing is not it, because those images are gone. I watched in despair as not only that family's photographs, but other jobs too. I lost everything, even all the memories of that I had just transferred from my other computer, painstakingly transferred into it, all irretrievably lost. The year was 2011, and to this day I remain baffled by the presence I discovered in that photograph. It still is in my memory. The unexplained sighting left an indelible mark on my memory and photography practices while I still go to the park. I have never pointed my camera in the direction of the cemetery again. That was by Valerie Gonzalez. Let me put her image on the screen. Processing, there it goes. There's Valerie. Thank you for sharing that story, Valerie. My next story. The next story is by Tony Morano. And this one is The Rocking Chair at 216 Grant Avenue. Tony says, so I photograph a ton of real estate properties throughout San Antonio and surrounding areas. This particular house was in the historic area of Alamo Heights. I'll never forget that house at 216 Grant Avenue. This house was vacant and on a Supra, a lockbox. It was also my last house to photograph that day. As always, first thing I do is do a walkthrough of the home. I turn on all the lights and adjust the window blinds and look for the best angles as I walk around. The home was empty except for the utility room, which had a washer and dryer and a little kid's rocking chair. Don't get ahead of me. By the way, this is an AI generated image based off the description that Tony gave me. I start photographing the front exteriors first, then I photograph the interiors, ending with the rear exterior. As I photograph throughout the home, I can feel it getting a little cooler because normally I recognize I get a little warmer as I work. I thought nothing of it and continued to the kitchen after the other rooms. And finally, I got to the utility room as it's just off of the kitchen. I set up my tripod and framed my shot from just inside the door of the utility room. I look at the back of my camera as I have live view activated, so it helps me make sure my lines are straight. I see the little rocking chair and it just seems out of place. So I go around my tripod to remove it. As I get ready to remove it, the rocking chair starts slowly rocking. Seeing this immediately took my breath away, and I felt like I was going to pass out. I immediately looked around to see if the back door was open, causing it to rock, maybe a window. I also looked to see if there was a vent or something blowing on it to cause it to rock. Nothing was open. Nothing was on. I pretty much freaked out, but had enough thought to just press the shutter and take the photos. I immediately ran out after taking my shots and was headed out the back door when suddenly I remembered I had to get the shots of the rear exterior. So I ran out the back door, set up my tripod for the shot without even looking or framing the shot because I felt like someone was looking at me through a window. I took the shots and started to go to the back gate to my car. But then I realized I had to go back in to turn off all the lights and lock up. So I unfold my tripod just in case I need to use it as a weapon, and I walk back through the back door. I ran through the house, turning off lights in the main rooms and the bedrooms. As I turn off the kitchen lights and see the utility room, I just quickly feel for the light switch without looking in to turn it off. I finally get out the front door and lock up, then ran and sat inside my car for a few minutes as I was hyperventilating after what I had seen. I sat there for a good 10 minutes trying to calm down and get my breathing under control. I was trying to process what I had just witnessed. Finally, I was calm enough to drive home. As soon as I got home, my wife looked at me. She could tell that something was wrong. So she asked me, "What's going on with you?" I told her what just happened and what I saw. She was skeptical at first and then said, "Well, show me the picture." In my mind, I say, "Oh, that's right. I got a picture of it." And I used the slow shutter speed. So if the rocking chair was moving, it would show up as blurry. Yes. I sat down at my computer, feeling a little shaky. And as I start to go through the images, I get to the shots of the utility room. I pulled up the photo, and the rocking chair's not there. I get up from my desk and I start pacing, pretty much freaking out because I know that rocking chair was there when I pressed the shutter. I was telling my wife this over and over. That's when she knew I was being serious and helped to try calming me down. She suggested that I call the real estate agent and ask her about the rocking chair or any other history about that house. It took me about 20 minutes before I calmed down enough to make that call. I told the realtor about the incident, and she told me she's unaware of any of the history of the house, but that she would try and find out a little bit more. Just as we were about to get off the phone, she added that she and an associate were there just 20 minutes before I arrived, and they didn't see a rocking chair. It was at that moment I was about to cry because I know what I saw. The agent finally called back and informed me that they could not track any history of the original owners or of the house itself, only the fact that it was built in 1938. Well, this incident happened a few years ago, and I had posted it on social media, and everyone was kind of intrigued. Of course, some were skeptical, but it did seem to motivate some people to drive by the house. Out of the blue, I got a Facebook message from someone in Missouri who heard my story. She introduced herself and said it was that she was part of a team that works with paranormal activity and asked if I could call her because she believed me 100%. So I called and she asked me to take her through the whole ordeal in detail. She asked me if I had heard anything, smelled anything, any change in the room temperature, and even asked the size of the rocking chair. I gave her as much detail as I could. I told her the chair was small and built for a child. Finally, she says that her and her team would try to get permission to go into the house and set up some equipment. I told her I wanted nothing to do with what they were planning. She was fine with it, but then told me again that she believed me 100% and that they've seen this stuff before. She reassured me that whatever it is that I saw, it was not out to harm me in any way. Then I asked her, why is it that I'm the only one who saw it and no one else did? I'll never forget what she told me next. Here's her exact words. The reason why no one else saw it is because there's a sensitivity to the entity where it was meant for your eyes only. What she asked me next wound up making too much sense, but it calmed me down. She asked if I had ever worked with a child in my lifetime. I'm a retired U.S. Army social worker. She said someone was just trying to communicate with you because they had trust in you. Then she asked if I would do something that blew my mind. She asked me to pull up the photo again and blow it up and let her know what I see. I told her that if I blow up that picture, it'll be with a shotgun because I am not going to look at it again, and especially not close up. She was fine with that and thanked me for sharing my story. Never heard any more about the house, but I'm sure someone is living in it by now. So that's my story. Believe it or not, I honestly don't care because I know exactly what I witnessed. That story, again, is by Tony Morano. Thank you, Tony. Now I want to share one that is, let's see. There were several stories that were shared while I was in the, well, I posted it on Facebook. And so I'm going to share one of those on the screen with you right now. Several of the ones you just saw were, but this is one that I didn't reach out to ahead of time. But it's a short story, so I'm going to share it real quick. So let me put that on the screen. There we go. So this is a story by Christina Strawn. She says, Tammy Blaylock and I were at a wedding at the Dominion shooting a wedding. I was going over the images I just shot of the front reception hall while walking to the dance floor area. This lady walked with me from the front hall to the double doors on the dance floor. I decided I wanted to head outside to get a shot of the ceremony site real quick before heading back to the bridal suite. I looked up at the woman to hold the door open, then looked back at the door, waited a second, and she did not go out. I looked back and she was gone. There was nowhere the person could have gotten that fast. I even checked in both rooms adjacent to the dance floor. I was alone. No unpleasant or cold feelings, just she was there and then not there. I checked out the staff that night and later on the pictures to see if I could find her, and she was not there. I told Tammy not 10 minutes after it happened. I can see her face clearly still. She was shorter than me, petite, fine bone, thin, dark curly hair, pale complexion, dark brown eyes, long eyelashes, a dark dress. I searched to see if there were any reports of spiritual activity at the Dominion, but nothing. All I could figure was a deceased relative of the bride or groom looking for them. A timmy wimmy thing, or a glitch in the matrix. So that is Christina's story. Here's another story for you guys. The last one. And this one is called I Felt Her Walk By. And let me bring up an image of that. I've got to remove a couple of images here to give me some space. All right, those should be coming up now. Go. All right. The Menger Hotel, a place steeped in history and elegance, has been a local favorite for bridal sessions for decades. Many stories had been whispered about the hotel's past, but one tale unfolded during a bridal session. The ornate lobby of the hotel of the San Antonio's historic Menger Hotel warmly glittered as the photographer carefully positioned his tripod on the balcony above. He was there to create portraits of a radiant bride, her gown sweeping across the beautiful marble mosaic tile floor 2 stories below. As the shutter clicked, the photographer felt a presence as a maid walked by, coming from behind him. She was dressed in a traditional black uniform with a white cover, elbows tucked in, hands outstretched, carrying a bundle of white towels. She moved with purpose towards the rooms across the way. By the way, this is an AI generated image based on the description in this story. The photographer momentarily turned his attention back to the bride for 2 or 3 seconds, but he couldn't resist a double take, turning back to see the maid, but she wasn't there. A deep curiosity washed over him. There was no way that she could have made it to even the closest door, much less open it and get inside. So he looked behind, thinking maybe she just forgot something, turned around. Not there either. There was a set of stairs. It was close, but no way she could have gotten up them, and certainly not to the point where he couldn't see her anymore. Despite questions without answers, the photographer was a professional and immediately got back to capturing the bride's radiance. He didn't share this encounter with anyone. He had already started to doubt what he had seen, and not wanting to distract from the purpose that he was there for, he kept it to himself. The photographer couldn't shake the eerie feeling that gripped him, a feeling amplified by the Menger's storied history, where even the past itself seemed to linger, reminding those who ventured within its beautiful walls, we're still here. The photographer carried this experience with him, and only rarely shared with immediate family and a few others, friends. And now, you. So the next time you see a maid who then disappears, don't be alarmed. She's just doing what she needs to do. And so should you. I felt her walk by. Hope you guys are having fun with this. I hope you guys have had fun with this, because this has been the Halloween edition of the Portrait Profit Show. Now, normally on the Portrait Profit Show, we talk about things to help you make money with photography. And we will get back to that starting next week. By the way, if you've enjoyed any of these stories, do me a favor and click that like button or that love button. Make some comments. If you haven't already, enter in hashtag live to let me know that you're watching live. Of course, this replay, enter in hashtag replay. And I'm looking over some of the comments here, and there are a lot. And by the way, we're simulcast to 8 different places. And so you may not see a lot of where you're at, but I get the culmination of all of them. And so I'm so glad to see you guys are here. Uh, I guess I'll do a handful of shout outs. Most of these say Facebook user. So I don't know who it is that's watching, but I see Pam and Violet and Rick. I see uh, Jack is here. Uh, and so Dave, several others. So glad that you guys are here and have experienced the Halloween edition of the Portrait Prophet show. Uh, yeah, they be true. By the way, I'm looking through all the comments right now. So let me tell you about, you know that the the Portrait Prophet show is something that happens every single week. And so on the very next episode of the Portrait Prophet show, we're going to be talking about doubling. And let me bring that up. Let's see. We're talking about doubling your wedding sale. Now, for those of you who don't do weddings, the concept here may apply to other things. So I do recommend that you show up even still. But this definitely is geared towards wedding photographers because when I, in 2013, I realized that I needed more time to be able to spend on the teaching side. And so I've been teaching since 1997, but it got to the point in 2013 where it was just really taking up all my time, and that was fantastic because I love teaching. But I decided to take weddings out of my options. I didn't really want to take it out, so what I did instead was raise the price. And thinking that that would cause fewer to contact me, that actually I thought it would cause no one to call me anymore, or if they did, once I found out the price, they'd just click hang up the phone. But it didn't have the effect that I thought it would, and I'm going to share that with you next Monday at noon, November 6th, because what happened with the solution? It caused my income to double overnight, and I'm not exaggerating. I wound up with fewer calls, which was good. I wanted to take less time. I wound up with fewer weddings, which was good because I needed to do things that took up less time. But I wound up in making the same exact amount of money. Yeah, doubled my wedding sale overnight by accident. And I'm going to go over in detail what I did to cause that to happen. Yeah. So my average sale was right around 3,000 at that time. It was slightly more, but right around 3,000. It jumped to 6,000 overnight. I'm not exaggerating. And when I describe it to you, you'll understand why, because it's going to make perfect sense. It might even make you think, why didn't I think of that? That's not hard. That's easy. I can do that. Yeah. And I bet after I tell you, you will. And then on November 13th, we have a panel discussion on tips to improve sales. And we're going to be bringing in three panelists. And let me tell you who they are. Uh, and so my three panelists on November 13th, and by the way, put this on your schedule. Oh, something else. We move the time when we do a panel from noon, our time is at noon, but on the second Monday of every single month, we move it to 6:30 in the evening, which makes it easier for me to get panelists. That's the reason for it. So 6:30 in the evening, we're going to have three panelists. That's November 13th. And the three panelists are Diancio Perez, Kevin Conlon, and Jill Ann Tudor. Those are the three panelists that you'll see who are going to be giving you tips on how to improve sales. Now, I don't know about you, but a lot of photographers have difficulty with the sales part. Partially or mostly it's because of a stereotype of a slick salesperson. Someone's trying to push something on you. By the way, that is an example of a bad salesperson, not a good one. Sales is just helping someone else get what they want. And isn't that what you are as a photographer? Yeah. Sales is exactly right up our alley as photographers. It's exactly what we want. We are salespeople. We aren't the stereotypical salesperson. We are the real definition of a salesperson, someone who helps others get what they want. Put November 13th at 6:30 on your calendar so you can hear more about tips to improve sales. And then on November 20th, how to be recognized as an expert. So, what that means is some of us feel at times that we're just not given that respect, or we're not looked at as a professional, that people are always asking us for discounts because they just see photography as not a real job. Well, there's no way you can change how they feel about photography, but there are ways that you can make them change the way they feel about you. So I'm going to show you how to be recognized as an expert, and people won't anymore be asking you to take off a discount or something for your prices, unless it's like a charity or something, but not regular clients, because they'll respect you and your price. November 20th at noon. And then to round out November, on November 27th, we have, and I have to look at my book because I don't remember what it is. Remember, don't seek the seekers. That is on November 27th. Don't seek the seekers. Now, what that means is if your marketing is working, if it's doing what you are intending it to do, then there's no reason to add your name to the list of 72 other photographers when someone comes onto a photography, let's say a Facebook group, and says, I'm looking for a photographer. Have you noticed there's 30, 40, 50, 70, 80 photographers who put their name into the hat? Guys, that's a waste of time. Why are you doing that? Now, you may say, well, I have to do something. I have to put in the effort. Yeah, but you have to put in smart effort. How many times has that actually turned into something if you weren't one of the first 5 that were to respond? It's just not going to happen. There's no way anyone is going to go through 30, 40, 50, 70 different photographers to find the one they want. It's not going to happen. Your marketing should be so good that people haven't heard of you. What? I want people to hear of me. I want people to know who I am. The only people who you want to hear of you are your ideal client, your ideal target market, the perfect person for you. That's the only group of people who you want to know that you even exist. The rest you don't want to know. By the way, one of the most expensive photographers in San Antonio, he does portraits, and his average sale is in the tens of thousands. Have you heard of him? Have you seen his ads? Is he one of the people who seeks the seekers? No, you haven't heard of him, because he's marketing to those who want what he sells. Now you may think, well, they said I want a photograph, so therefore they're saying they want what I sell. Guys, it doesn't work that way. There are a lot of tools in the toolbox. There's a lot of tools in the tool store. Think of Home Depot or Lowe's. Every one of the tools in there represents another photographer in this scenario. When someone goes into the tool store of photographers, they don't need every single one of us. We're not all the same. Photographer. No, no, we are all different. We have different things that we enjoy doing. We have different specialties, different expertises. And when you do a good job describing who it is that you want and what it is that you do, you wind up with more of that, and you are charging an amount that causes you to do extremely well when it comes to income. And everybody's happy, not complaining about the price, because you're dealing with people who want exactly the tool that you are. That is on November 27th. Don't seek the seekers at noon. Put it on your calendar. So those are the shows that we have prepared for you in the month of November. Now, if you need some help on the business side of photography, then you know to reach out to me, right? So I want to give you this real quick, and I'll put up the I'll put a comment here. so that you can get that easily. There we go. And I know that this doesn't go to all of the channels. I don't know why, but it does not go to all of the channels. And it's going to 4 channels. It's going to the Portrait Profits Facebook page. It's going to the Landers Photography School Facebook page. It's going to the Portrait Profits YouTube channel, and it's going to the Digital Pro Lab YouTube channel. So if you're watching on any of the 4 of those, you have the link. If you don't, there it is on the screen for you right now. Do a screenshot or come back to this. But this is a 45-minute session just to go over what's important to you. This is a coaching call. I do charge for this. I like electricity. I like food, so I do charge for this. But that is, and you'll see it when you log in. But if you need help, if you need to talk about your photography business, if you want to stop the struggle, this is how you do it, by reaching out to me. And I have an announcement. The monthly meetup is the second Thursday of every single month. Now, if you're not in the San Antonio area, then you can ignore this part. But this is for San Antonio, Texas, and surrounding areas. The monthly meetup is the second Thursday of every month, beginning at 6:30. The next one is November 9th, and that's at Alamo City, Harlan. And we're there to support a local photographer who is doing a solo show. So, and that is Eric Bowden. So we'll be seeing him there at the show. We have a speaker as well. So that is coming up November 9th, 6:30 in the evening. Put that on your calendar too. All right, you guys. We have come to the end of another Portrait Profit show. I hope you've enjoyed this unusual version of the show. This is not something that we'll repeat, but maybe next year we will, if we get some more suggestions, more stories that are submitted. And to submit a story, just send it to jim@landersphotoschool.com, jim@landersphotoschool.com. So we've come to the end of another Portrait Profit show. For Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab. By the way, I usually mention our sponsors at the beginning. I guess I forgot on this one because we were doing a special edition. So let me do that real quick. Digital Pro Lab, digitalprolab.com. Man, they are fantastic. Amanda and her team are career professionals who are in the business of making you look like a hero. Now, they may not describe what they do that way, but that's how I describe it, because that's what they do. digitalprolab.com. Man, reach out. Go to digitalprolab.com. Get something printed. You are going to be impressed. You're going to love it. It's just another level, another layer of photography that we should all know, because it feels so good to have your work printed. digitalprolab.com. And Landers Photography School, that's me. That's what I do. I help photographers make an incredible income doing what they love. So landersphotoschool.com. landersphotoschool.com. So for Landers Photography School and Digital Pro Lab, this is Jim Landers bringing you the weekly Portrait Profit Show, helping you excel in your portrait photography business through valuable tips and insights, helping you stay on track towards the success that you deserve. Join us every Monday for evolving content as we unravel the mysteries of the business side of photography. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on the Portrait Profit Show. Thank you guys for watching. See you soon.